I'm joined now by Robbie Allen, founder and CEO of Automated Insights. Robbie, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So we're talking about automated content. Let me get the big question out of the way first. Is the ultimate goal to remove the author from the authoring process?
No, I wouldn't say that's the goal. I mean, it's a common question that we get from reporters and journalists.
Sure.
But it would be analogous to saying if you could write the perfect piece of content about a given topic or subject, that there's no need for anybody else to write about that topic. I think there's always going to be different perspectives and viewpoints. Automated content can provide a perspective. It's not necessarily the only perspective.
Now, what types of content are best suited for automated content?
Yeah, that's another good question. At least right now, it's mainly quantitatively based content. So, the automated content relies on data and structured data, and so that the types of content we can create from that are generally quantitative in nature. So we're doing some sort of analysis. Mm-hmm. Qualitative content is still primarily in the realm of the humans, and so that'll be something that I won't say is ever outside of the realm of possibility for automated content, but it's much more difficult.
Now, you mentioned structured content. How do you address unstructured content? Is that the big issue you're confronting right now?
So, there's a ton of structured content already. This being unused that could be used for automated content, and that's only growing. In the realm of big data, we're seeing an explosion of data, and so there's already a lot to do there. In the unstructured world, there is a wealth of data hidden in unstructured data, and we still can access what I call consistent unstructured data. And so if there's patterns to data, we can still pull out data from that and turn it and make it structured. And so ultimately, we'll start with structured, then we go to consistent unstructured, and then eventually we'll even be able to pull data out of completely unstructured.
Now, just for folks who don't know the difference between structured and unstructured, when we're talking about unstructured, we're talking about things like narrative, PDFs, those types of things where it's not columns and rows.
That's
correct?
right. Structured is a spreadsheet of numbers, a database of numbers, things of that nature. Unstructured is just written word.
Okay. All right. So cracking the unstructured code and really being able to find the different pieces of information and using that to your advantage, what does that open up? I mean, what types of opportunities do you foresee there?
Well, it opens up a certain type of analysis that allows you to be more qualitative, because you can almost, it's sentiment analysis. There's a lot of sentiment analysis tools in the social space these days where people are trying to understand, what are the things that people are talking about in Twitter? How do people feel about certain political candidates? Once you can really tap into the unstructured world, you can tease those kind of things out and add a certain qualitative nature to the content that you can't with just looking straight at numbers.
So last question for you, and it's kind of a weird question, but would you anticipate a way that authors could themselves work with automated content, perhaps using it almost like an alpha draft of what they're trying to create?
Absolutely, and in fact, we work with several customers where they'll take our data and just publish it as is. There's others that take our content and have an editorial process on top of it. Yeah. I foresee in the future longer and longer forms of narrative that we can produce, and still potentially having a sort of a high-level editorial on top of that somebody can go in and maybe there's a lot of different things you can include in a narrative, but you only want 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be an editorial process of picking and choosing what you want, and maybe even tweaking it to incorporate certain things like quotes from somebody. Sure. Again, that's hard to pull out in an automated fashion, but that would be something that a human could add to it.
In a way, it's kind of like a wire service.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.